Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching this presentation of our Offer Holders Open Day. This is the first time we've done anything virtual for the Offer Holders Open Day, so hopefully today we'll be able to give you a bit of a sense of what it's like to study at Girton College. My name's Chloe, I'm the Schools Liaison Officer at Girton, so my job is to talk to students about applying to university, giving them all the information they need, and we also look at getting underrepresented groups into the university as well.
Hi, my name is Stuart and I'm the admissions tutor for the arts, humanities and social sciences subjects at Girton College, and I'm also a lecturer in modern and medieval languages.
And hello, I'm Julie Riley and I'm the admissions tutor for science, and I am a lecturer in physics.
So today we're going to start off by talking a bit about college life. So going over things about what your life might look at Girton and showing off some of the best bits of the college. Then we're going to move on to talk about accommodation, so you'll get a chance to see a few pictures of where you might be living for the next 3 or 4 years, and we'll talk a bit about things like pricing. Then we're going to move on and look at student support. So this includes all things such as financial or pastoral care that you might require when you're a student with us. So we'll talk about what support structures are available for you as a student to cater to your needs. And then we're going to just discuss a bit about what's next in the process of becoming a student at Girton. So bits of admin that we might need to do and all of that lovely stuff.
Okay, so Girton is in Cambridge terms quite a new college, the first colleges having been founded in the early 13th century. We started life as a college for women, loosely associated with Cambridge University, in Hitchin in Hertfordshire in 1869, moving to our current site in 1871. The picture you can see just above those words is of students in Victorian times picnicking in part of the grounds which are still called Honeysuckle Walk. We went mixed in 1977. We have a long history of fighting for educational and political equality, and the banner you can see again above this little notice is a joint Girton and Newnham suffragette banner, which says, "Better wisdom than weapons of war." We recently celebrated our 150th anniversary, and we remain, as we have always been, a forward-looking and diverse community.
Because the college's history is one of the reasons why it's actually located on the edge of Cambridge rather than squashed into the city centre, higgledy-piggledy amongst all the other colleges. So that means that we can have some fantastic access to wildlife and countryside all around the building and the estate. So there's a pond, there's an orchard. You can see an image there on the top right of the orchard, which grows some really interesting apples, pears, plums, all sorts of different fruit. There is woodland. We have a whole range of animals and flowers and all sorts of things. You can really watch the seasons changing from your bedroom window from within the building. You can see there an image of a black squirrel, which is also a bit of a local speciality, so to speak. You don't see many of those around the country, but quite a few on the Girton estate. And the building itself is listed, as you probably imagine, just getting a sense of what it looks like here from these 2 images. There's so many more wonderful pictures we could have shown you here. And because it was a women's college also, it's one of the first colleges to be built on a corridor system. So you might imagine many Oxbridge colleges, if you've seen pictures of them or have visited maybe other Oxbridge colleges, that have quads or courts with staircases going up kind of vertically from them. Well, we don't have that system in Girton. Instead, you can enter the college and get around the entire building from one end to the other along corridors, which is great. It means you don't have to go outside when it's cold or raining, although you might want to take a shortcut across the outside a few times. And the other great thing about Girton is that you can walk on any grass you like. So we're not fussy at all about where people go or students when they're moving around the site.
We also have excellent catering and self-catering facilities in Girton. The meals compared to other colleges from personal experience, I'd say are pretty cheap. You get a good big hot main meal and a snack and a drink for £3.50, which is pretty decent. As well as this, Girton has some really, really fantastic self-catering services, so you don't always have to rely on just going to the Great Hall to get your lunch, dinner, breakfast. You can also make it yourself. Girton is one of the few colleges to have fully functioning ovens, which is fantastic. And when you're in your self-catering services, you'll share that with other students, but there's plenty of storage space for each student. So you can really take advantage of whatever kind of student experience you're looking for. As well as this, a lot of the catering facilities at Girton are also social spaces. And you can see here a couple of pictures of the social hub, which was built in 2019 and was opened by Sandy Toxvig, who's a former Girton alumni. So here you can buy coffee, snacks, get a few sandwiches, pastries, again, all really nice food, and you can chill out with your friends or do a bit of studying alongside that. And it gives it a real kind of like down to earth, relaxed feel. And then the other benefit of catering at Girton as well is that you do get to eat in this great hall, and it's got some really fantastic artwork, which we'll see a picture of later. So all together, we've got really good catering facilities that students can take advantage of in any way that they want to.
Okay, so we have, as Stuart's already said, really, we have a very large site. And this actually allows us, unlike some other colleges, to have all the sports facilities within and around the main college buildings. And so we've got some pictures here of various sporting activities and arrangements. So you can see there's a rugby match going on, some inter-college rugby match, I would guess. And then we've got the tennis courts, the grass tennis courts, and to the right of the grass tennis courts, you can see part of the main buildings, which is called Woodlands on the right. There's the cricket pitch, and you can see also our indoor gym here and our lovely indoor heated swimming pool. We are the only Cambridge college to have one.
But we don't need to spend too much time on the sports pitch, because we also have some fantastic studying facilities for you as well. Because every college has its own college library, as you may well know. But because Girton is that little bit further away from some of the central facilities, our library is one of the largest, both in terms of the collection and also the space available in it. And the older part of the library, which you can see in the large image there, that's the upper library. It's an absolutely beautiful space, a really inspiring space to go and sit quietly with a book or writing an essay, working on whatever it is you need to be doing. But there is a fairly recent extension in the last 15, 16 years, I think, which provides some great IT facilities as well. And an archive. So that's not something that you would normally access as a student, but we also house an archive that's particularly devoted to women's education, the history of women's education. A library also has study spaces around the college that you can book and access as well for group study away from the main facilities of the main library itself.
As well as this, Girton has really fantastic student activities and student societies to join. One of the great things about being a Cambridge student in general is that there's such a wide range of social clubs to join and get involved with, and very niche things as well that you might not have even thought existed. The other great thing about being a student at Girton specifically is, as we've seen, we've got some really fantastic facilities for students to use, such as the sports facilities, as well as if you're an artsy person, and we've got student music practice rooms that you're able to book into to go and kind of practice with your friends or alone. We also have the old hall, which is commonly used for a lot of student theatre productions, and students make a lot of use out of that, particularly the Girton Amateur Dramatic Society GADS. As well as this, we have a lot of different talks on, so kind of more academically focused events that you can go to. We also have the chapel choir, which is something you can join if you're an organ player or if you're a singer. So there's lots of opportunities in that as well. And again, through the JCR, you'll be welcome to start up any society you want to at Girton, and you can get funding for that. I know most recently I've known of an origami society that a student set up, which was a really nice venture, and that was put into the student programme Thrive, which looks at setting up student activities for people's welfare. So there's so much to get involved with. And again, if you come to Girton and you think, oh, there's not something here that I thought might have been, you're welcome to start it up yourself and get the funding for that as well. So there's countless opportunities to take advantage of when you're a student at Girton.
And walking around the building can feel really quite special in terms of the kind of portraits and artworks that you just see all over the place. I often feel like I'm working in a National Trust property. It's not a National Trust property, but it sometimes has that kind of feel. But it's also a working space as well, so it doubles up. And as Chloe mentioned earlier on, the dining hall, you can see there in that image on the left, it's one of the very few dining halls in Cambridge colleges that has portraits of only women around its walls, important women in the history of the college, most of them previous mistresses, and the current mistress as well, in fact, the head of the college, that is. So you can see just from that image a bit of the Hogwartsy kind of feel that you get a little bit from moving around this space. The people's portraits is also a really interesting aspect of the college. So the image there on the top right is one of these portraits, and this is a permanent loan to the college from the Royal Society of Portrait Painters. And these portraits are all of ordinary people in inverted commas. Yeah, so they could be farmers, fishermen. There's even one of a thief, a thief even, and and they're kind of just along the corridors, you know, kind of really exciting, interesting things to look at. And we even have our own very small museum, and you can see there in the middle our mummy that we house in our museum, quite a rare mummy because she is from Roman Egypt, and she has had her portrait painted onto her and her name. So we know what she looked like, assuming it's a realistic likeness. And we even know her name, Hermione, which is another Harry Potter link there for us. And the other image you can see there as well is also from some of the artifacts that we have in our museum. So it's a really inspiring place to be.
So we provide accommodation for all the years of your course, including postgraduate time here if you're doing medicine or veterinary medicine. Currently, the undergraduates have a tenancy agreement that runs from the first week in October, which to you would be called Freshers' Week in your first year, until the end of the summer term, though this does actually slightly depend upon which room you actually have. Again, currently, the students have a residency charge, which is fixed for the first 3 years of their course. This allows you to know how to budget for this whole period that you're here. There are 3 levels of charge, which we show here. We've got a single room with shared facilities, which means that you don't have your own ensuite. There's ensuite facilities in our building called Ash Court, which actually you can see a picture of what Ash Court looks like in the paragraph just above. You can see the Ash Court building there. And then we also have ensuite facilities in Swells Court, which I'll show you in a few moments. And so basically, also in this picture, what you can see in the top left is a sort of typical student room. And in the bottom left, you can actually see students sitting around in one of the kitchens. And as Chloe had said earlier, they're very fortunate in that those are very well equipped kitchens. And so you can get a sort of idea of what a kitchen looks like for the students to use. And these are just 3 examples of rooms in the main college building. The one that you can see at the top is a room which is in Woodlands Court, and you can actually see it's on the ground floor and it's looking out onto this court, which, true to its name, contains quite a nice number of large trees. There is then on the bottom left a top floor room probably in Tower Wing, and you can see the shape of the roof there, so you can see that it must be on the top floor. And then on the bottom right, you can see one of the ensuite rooms in Ash Court. This slide shows pictures of a place called Swells Court, which is a residential block at Eddington, which is a quick walk from the main site. So the picture at the top, you can see what Swells Court actually looks like. There are very large numbers, 325 rooms there. And then you can see below that the ensuite room that is available for all the students in Swells Court. You can choose to live here from your second year onwards. All first years have rooms in the main site.
Okay, so we're going to move on to talk a bit more about the support that you have as a student when you come to university, because as you probably recognise already, it can be a bit of a transition to a new style of learning, a new style of education. So I'll just give you a bit of a flavour of the different things that you have here. So probably one of the most important is your director of studies. You see that at the top of the diagram. So that's an academic in your subject who will look after you and make sure that your academic progress is going as it should be. And they normally see you a couple of times every term and keep in touch with you. They may well be one of your supervisors moving around the clock at kind of 2 o'clock there, supervisors. So these are the people who are teaching you in your small groups and will really get to know you very well as a student and support your learning. And say that might well be a director of studies, might be one of your supervisors. You'll also have lecturers who are based in the faculty, so they will be providing a lot of the teaching for you. And depending on your subject, there may be others that you encounter, such as language teachers or lab people running labs and that kind of thing as well, who are also part of the university's teaching. We've also got library staff, of course. I already mentioned how great the library is, and the staff are amazing at providing support and advice for any problems you or difficulties you might have, accessing resources or anything you might need. And at Girton, we have something called Thrive, which and a study skills fellow as well. So that's a member of staff who is responsible for supporting students with study skills and helping them with essay writing or how to best make notes in lectures, these kind of different things that you might find are slightly different demands on you now that you're at university. And the Thrive programme is more than just about academic study skills. It's also a broad range of different things that you can sign up for, not compulsory, but we really encourage people to do, because it really helps them to develop all sorts of different kinds of skills that they may find useful for studying or even after their degree when they're going out into the job market or onto further study perhaps. And the only one I haven't mentioned on there already is the University Language Centre, which is available to all members of the university, regardless or not whether they are studying languages as their main course. So you can always go there and learn something new or keep a language going if you've been studying one before.
In terms of pastoral support, there's lots of options to take if you're needing any personal help whilst you're studying at Girton and Cambridge. Hopefully this is something that you'll never need to use, but it's obviously really good to know that it's there regardless. Just to start off, as well as a director of studies, you also get a tutor when you come to Cambridge. So again, this is a person that you might talk to, like Stuart said, maybe every couple of times a term, to just kind of keep up to make sure that you're dealing with the workload okay and that everything's going well in your life in general. You can get in touch with your tutor if you need help with anything. Maybe you might be struggling with a personal problem or something financial. They're there to support you through any processes you might be making, such as if you need to fill out, say, a hardship fund, they might help you with that, or any other stuff that you can think of. The college also has 2 nurses that are available for any health needs that you might need. So you can talk to them perhaps before you talk to a GP as well, and they can provide any care or advice about mental health or physical health. As well as this, the university has counselling services that are set up in the centre of town, which you can go to, and kind of they've got lots of different trained counsellors there, so you can find one that suits your needs. And as well as that, there's a college counsellor locally as well in the college, so you can meet up with them and have a chat if you're struggling with anything or you just need some guidance. As well as this, we've got the tutorial office. The tutorial office is responsible for the kind of daily admin of student life. So they can support you again with anything that you're doing. If you need help with any applications that you're filling out or any financial advice, you can go there as well, and they'll take care of things like any letters that you might need to send to your GP or to student finance or your bank, etc. So they can help with all that kind of stuff. As well as this, one of the other great things about being at Cambridge is that the student support network is really, really strong, and the students really do look out for each other. This will happen at Girton mainly through the JCR. The JCR has lots of different officers set up to kind of support students. So we have positions such as welfare officers, who will work with the Thrive team as well, to kind of deliver support to students. So, you know, de-stressing, mindfulness sessions, all of that stuff. And they'll also be available for you to go and talk about any problems that you're having to get a bit of support from your peers. As well as this, we've got bike reps, for example, so someone that's in charge of looking out for bikes at Girton, because it's something that you might end up using quite heavily when you're in the college. So that's a great position to have. And we've also got disability, ethnic minority, LGBT officers, which all can help with any issues that you're having, as well as setting up social events so that people can find each other with similar experiences as them while they're at Cambridge, and again can offer any support and guidance or refer you to the right people. So there's just so much going on there. On the kind of upper level of that, we kind of discussed earlier, this kind of you've got the kind of college things, but also the university has its own kind of systems. You've also got the Cambridge Student Union, which again has many similar positions as the JCR and can help you with any of those problems in the same way. As well as this, we've got an absolutely fantastic disability resource centre. The staff there are really dedicated to helping you get through your degree if you've got a disability or learning difficulty. They provide support, study skills, mentoring, all of those things, which are really, really useful. But as well as that, you can also get a diagnosis through them as well. If you're kind of thinking maybe I've got learning difficulties that you've not yet pursued a diagnosis for previously to come into university. Again, just a really helpful resource. They've got so much information available and things to sign up to. So they're fantastic. And then the final thing on this little wheel is chaplains. So at Girton, our chaplain is not only a kind of religious figure, if that's the right word to put, and they're also fully trained counsellors. And generally the chapel and the chaplain is a kind of support system that's available to anyone of any faith or no faith. So that's another person that you could talk to again, and you're very welcome to use the chapel as a quiet place of reflection, no matter what religious denomination you are. And yeah, there's so much support available. So hopefully, again, you won't need to use it, but it's good to know that if anything did happen while you were studying, you've got a lot of support to fall back on, and it's an invaluable resource in many ways.
So the university and the college can provide some limited financial support to both students from the UK and overseas students. This support very much depends upon your circumstances and, in some cases, which country you come from. If you are a UK student, you may be eligible for a Cambridge bursary. This depends upon your family's financial circumstances. And just to give an illustration of this, we can look at the next slide. As you can see from this slide, this actually gives the bursary amounts for this year. If your household income is £25,000 or less, then you are eligible for a full Cambridge University bursary, which is £3,500. And a bursary is something that you do not have to pay back, unlike a student loan or the loan that you get to pay your fees. There is then a sliding scale of the amount that you can actually get from a Cambridge bursary. And the maximum that family income below which you can then are eligible for one is £42,620. And so if your family owns up to that amount, there's a sliding scale up down to £300 that you could actually get. Your eligibility for these bursaries is actually assessed through the information that you provide in order to get your student loan. So you don't have to do anything extra in order to get a bursary.
So here you can see a few more examples of small amounts of money that may be available to you. And they're quite different each one, so I'll just talk through each. Scholarships and prizes are awarded for excellent academic performance in the college. So this is after you've arrived, and actually at the end of your first year, typically when you take some assessments or exams at the end of the year, if you do well in them, then you could be nominated for a financial reward. So a few £100s, which is very welcome, I'm sure. Hardship funds, as the name implies, are there to help support students who may be going through financial difficulty for whatever reason that might be. Sometimes it can be a very drastic change in circumstances after having completed the forms that Julia was just talking about for student loans, for example, and for bursaries. or it can just simply be because, you know, the money has run short for whatever reason. So by talking to your college tutor, who Chloe mentioned earlier on, you can access small amounts of money to help you through. Sometimes that can be in the form of a loan, if that's appropriate, that you repay without interest, maybe a couple of months later once your cash flow is better, so to speak. Or it might be in the form of a small grant or bursary, which you don't have to pay back at all to the college. And then travel, music and sports awards, again, are small amounts which are available to students if they have, you know, music lessons or singing lessons, for example. They can claim some money back for those. If they have to purchase particular expensive equipment or training for, if they are, you know, competing in sport at a very high level, typically representing the university. And travel awards as well, available depending on the course that you're applying for, perhaps might be appropriate, and also generally through a competition in college for which students can apply by putting forward a proposal of something they want to do. So these are all things to do with money once you're here and already studying and underway with your degree.
Here we've just got some helpful links that you might want to check out in terms of financial support. So the first one of these is Student Loan Company, which I'm sure a lot of you are well acquainted with now, and are in the process of doing the forms that you have to fill out and all of that stuff. So it's helpful to kind of keep on track for this next few months and make sure that you've done all the things that you need to do on your checklist and you're not leaving it to the last minute. I know that, you know, under difficult circumstances, it can be quite hard to fill out the student loan company thing, but just try and keep on top of it as best you can and get all that confirmed when you come into university in the autumn time. The next link, as we mentioned earlier about the Cambridge bursary, you can find more information at cambridgestudents.cam.ac.uk/Cambridge bursary. Again, you can find out what your entitlement will be in response to your household income, and it shouldn't be too much effort to fill out, as again, like Julia said, it gets calculated from your student finance form. The next thing we've got is university support for international students. So that's all to do with financial support if you're coming from overseas. So again, another good link to check out if you're trying to work out your financial situation for the next few years. And then finally, we've got a link to college support for students. So as Stuart was saying, that kind of more local to Girton students finance support that you can find out more about at that link there. So that should cover anything. If you have got any particular questions or you feel like your financial situation doesn't fit into that, then you can email us and we'll provide that at the end. So the next few bits to do now, firstly, pat yourself on the back for getting an offer. Really well done on that. And we're really excited to see all the students coming in the next academic year. For now, the things that you can check out, we've got the link to the undergraduate offer holders webpage at the top here. Here you can find out about all the things that you need to do before becoming a student. So things such as student finance, exam certificates, any medical or disability forms and information, and proof of identity. Some of these things might depend on your course and stuff, but check this out to make sure that you've done everything before you come to study with us. All the information is on the website. The final thing to mention as well is that if you haven't already, you can sign up for our offer holders Q&A sessions where we'll be meeting with some current students and answering any questions you've got about coming to Girton in October. So this can be anything about student life. If you've got any more complicated questions that might need a member of staff looking over, you can email admissions@girton.cam.ac.uk or applicants@girton.cam.ac.uk if you've got some more complicated things to go over. But until then, we really hope to see you at these live Q&A sessions that we've got running through March, where you can come and ask what it's like to be at Girton and make some preparations, like buying any things that you need for your student room in October.
There is one very, very, very important thing that you must remember to do, which is to confirm with UCAS your firm choice of institution from your application. And we very much hope, of course, that you will choose Cambridge and choose us, Girton, of course, as a college that has made you an offer at Cambridge on UCAS. So please don't forget to do that before the deadline.
You must also ensure in addition, I mean, obviously the most important thing is you've got to fulfill your academic requirements of your offer. But in addition to that, you must also meet any non-academic conditions that there might be. So make sure that you keep an eye on what actually you need to do. For example, you might have to provide financial guarantees if you're an overseas student, or in fact, you might have to have a DBS check if you want to do medicine or veterinary medicine. If, as we hope, you meet your academic conditions, your place will then be confirmed through UCAS.
And that's pretty much everything. Again, like we said earlier, just keep looking for updates, keep checking your email inboxes, make sure that you're doing all the things that you need to do, just so that it doesn't chase up on you and you're surprised in August or September that you've got to do all these different things. And keep checking the website for updates later in the year. There might be some sections that have announcements to come, so make sure you're still going back to that and making sure that all the relevant information is there. And in the meantime, you know, keep chatting to people. If you've met some people on Facebook groups and stuff, I know it's difficult this year because we can't come and visit Girton, but we have got a virtual tour online, so you can try your best to find out a bit about what it's like to come and be a student. And again, the Q&A sessions are a really good opportunity for that as well. So thank you so much for listening. Again, congratulations on your offer, and we're looking forward to seeing you in October. Thank you very much. Good luck with your exams.